yo, right now, kick the bass for them brothers and let them know what goes on.
Rolling stones in the rap game, not bragging. Look bigger than Jagger, not sagging. Brother backwards, I'ma leave it at that. That ain't got nothing to do with rap. Check the facts, expose those cats who pose as heroes, take advantage of blacks. The government's gangsters so crooked. A war going on, so where y'all at? Fight the power, cause great responsibility. Ask the police, who's stopping you from killing me? This ass is fiascos are looped by PE. If it's I instead of we believe in TV.
Hi and welcome to episode 3 of Technical Review. This week we're going to be looking at the review of the points that we've been working on, how they've been going, what we can improve, and then focusing on the drive for the next weeks. Okay, so everyone's here, all your coaches?
Hi.
Okay. Okay, so just to give an outline of the technical development that we're going to be looking at for the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at the first part of the drive, and that will be going through into just the end of the month, and then we'll start looking at the second part of the drive. That will go through into the beginning of February, where we're going to look back at the handling and the blade work at the back of the stroke, working back into the front and the in-pick. And then in the last week before the Winterwet strike, we're going to be working on the Beinetrap, the leg work, and making the boat move really well. Quick overview to see how you're rowing. And we'll break it down in slow-mo in a minute and go through the individual seats. So just take a second to take a look at the rhythm and look at the points that we've been working on. Okay. So we're going to work through back to front. So we're going to look first at pull. Okay, we're going to be looking at the hand movement to catch, the placement of the blade at the back, right at the front of the stroke, and the connection on the front end. Okay. We're seeing that actually your timing and your placement is nice. You're timing it really well on the back of the stroke. However, it's still not connecting really, really well until part of your drive. If we take a look from the other side, what we can see is that you're only just starting to connect here. You see, if we focus on this, just starting to connect here. One reason for this is that you're still over-compressing on the front end. It's a point we've been looking at, but you're really, really reaching there. You can still be much shorter. If you're a little bit shorter with less reach through the shoulder, then we feel like that you'd be able to place almost as if you're coming in here at this point, instead of reaching that little bit further. For you, Conrad, it's a point that we've mentioned to you quite a lot, and I think visually now we can show it, is also for you, the timing on the front end is relatively what we would like to see. Is coming in at the right time. However, the placement, the words we'd use is it's not confident, it's not direct, it's not deliberate. If you see here, on this clip, it's coming in, but not placing with enough deliberation to place the blade properly. Okay, we understand this is quite vague, so we'll show you a really nice example of good placement. The Australian Men's 4, we can focus on this blade here. You see how it comes in and it's on the front instantly. There's absolutely no time when it's taking time to bite onto the water. It just comes in and it places and it catches. So we take a look at it again. You're coming in, you're coming through the third stop. The blade's coming up. And it's placing, but it's not locking on. It's not, as Jeroen likes to say,
catching.
Not really catching onto the water. It's not connecting on fully. So we'll just take a look at the Osmen's 4 again, and you see how locked on it is from the very front. He places and he's locked. What you're doing is you're rowing the blade in. You're rowing the blade in on the drive and not placing in the recovery. Well, you can see that nicely through here if I focus in on your blade, although it's covered behind Joris. What you can see is it's only really placing when you're lifting with your back like this, you see? So it's not placing in at the back of the stroke. We can look at that from the other side. Okay, we'll look, and we're coming in. This is your blade here, and the blade is coming, it's waiting, and then you're rowing it in. You're lifting with your back at that point. You see, if you look at your body position, you're lifting the blade in. What you can definitely think more about is lifting those hands up in the recovery to place the blade. You're coming in the recovery and you place it at the front of the stroke. Okay? Joris, your in-pick is sometimes very good, as you can see here. It's nicely placed at the back of the stroke. Good. That's a really nice catch to have. However, first of all, it's very, very inconsistent. So if we look at the next stroke through, we can pay attention to now, this is the way your blade in goes. And this happens maybe 20% of the time, your blade just goes wildly out of control and you have a really horrible in-pick. So a big thing for you is consistency. I hope you can see how this is you rowing the blade in, and you're only really connecting now when you're halfway through the stroke and you're clenching the arms to get that tension. Now Jeroen's going to quickly explain one thing that you can do to help fix this.
Oké, Joris, één ding wat jij hier een beetje aan het doen bent, is je rijdt mooi op met iedereen. Maar op een gegeven moment dan stop je met het oprijden en dan ben je op het punt waarop je moet plaatsen. Maar dan val je nog een beetje door met het bovenlichaam en dan gaan die handen omlaag, ga je leunen op die paal bij de inpick. Gaat je blad omhoog en dan als je vervolgens de haal wil gaan maken, dan mis je helemaal de inpick. Zoals Henry zegt, soms doe je dat, soms doe je dat niet. Dus het is echt voor jou ook het focuspuntje, gewoon rustig oprijden, vang jezelf op voorin en breng die handen omhoog. Je kan het. Maar het is gewoon een kwestie van consistentie, gewoon blijven doen.
You, Thijs. One thing we especially want to emphasize in the last couple of weeks is that we've been really, really impressed with the progress you've been making. We're making really huge steps in body position, in control. However, we still have a lot of work to be doing. I'll go to the other side to best exemplify what we're doing, what we mean. This is your blade here. You're coming in really nicely. Actually, sometimes the blade places really well. For you, Thijs, this is a question of the hand movement. We looked at it a little bit at the beginning of this training this morning, kind of slapping the blade in. What you can see here, if you pay attention to where your blade's going in, is you're not in-picking with your hands, you're in-picking with your back lifting up. As you can see here, the blade's going in on the drive, and what we want to be seeing is you coming forward and placing here. There, at that point, we want to be seeing the blade in there. We'll see it from the other side now. The blade is coming in, and see, then it should be in at this point there. And what you're now doing is you're lifting and you're driving the blade in. That's too late. We want to see that. And what especially you can focus on is in the recovery, bringing your hands up to catch in the recovery and not during the drive. Ezekiel, you also have a very, very similar problem, and it's a little bit more exaggerated than Thijs. The question for you is focus. So today, what we realised is that when we specifically mention your point to you, you actually have a really quite nice technical basis to be working from. However, it can be horribly wrong. We'll show you what we mean, and we looked a little bit in the changing room. So you're coming in and you're placing. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's a much, much better way to be doing it. I was struggling to explain a little bit, so here's Jaron to try put it in better, in a way that's better for you to understand.
Okay, so Zeke, what we want from you is what you do in this shot. This is where we forced you to put your hands up. You see that your blade is closer to the water. You have the backsplash when you put it in. So this is what we want you to do. But what you normally do is, I think what you do in the next stroke, is you drive up, you do the same thing as Joris, you stop with the recovery, you fall through still with your hands, and your blade comes up from the water, making the distance between your blade and the water bigger, and making you miss the catch, which is what you do in maybe 60-70% of the strokes. So what we really want you to do is really focus on the points we're giving you, because you can do it, you have a really good technical basis like Henry said, and here you do it better as well. But we don't want to remind you, you need to remind yourself. So keep that in mind.
And now on to Ewout, with a D and not a T. I really, really like the way your in-picks progressed. It's coming really, really sharp and on the front. I remember making the last video review and it was not so neat and tidy as it is now. Yeah, we have only positive things to say about the way you're coming along. I just want to show you what it looks like. We'll look from first this side where it's a little bit more difficult to see, but we can see that it's being placed nicely at the back of the stroke and it's locking on. There's a little bit of backlift there still. However, that's for us an acceptable error to be having at the moment. Until we come back at it again. What we're seeing from this side as well is the blade's coming in, it's placing and it's locking. So really, really good work there. What is going to be a lot of work for you is looking at the drive. We can look on the Row Perfect for that. We see at the moment it's a little bit chunky. So for the next few weeks, we're going to be really having a nice focus on keeping it smooth, keeping it powerful. So you've got a lot to look forward to there. On to you, Pim. You've been making really, really good progress as well. there's a similar thing of focus for you, is that you do have a really, really nice catch when you prepare the blade properly. We can look through on this video that the preparation is really essential for you. First of all, sometimes you don't push down enough, which means that your blade constantly goes on the water, which is uncomfortable for you because it means that you don't prepare enough. Make sure you push the blade down fully in the recovery, giving yourself enough room to prepare the blade. What we can see here is that when you prepare the blade fully, you're coming in and catching quite nicely, although it's a bit blurry. We apologise for the quality of camera footage there, is that you're biting on nicely on the front of the stroke. Although we can't find a example of this in the latest bits of footage we took, you need to remember to push down fully, prepare the blade, and then you have a really, really nice catch on the front end. So good work, but that's when focus needs to be in the back of your mind in the coming weeks when we start working on other points. Now we're going to look at general boat points, so we're going to pay attention to the beginning of the training where you have a really nice good length on the front. So for example, the catch here, get a better shot of it, is you're actually getting quite good length at the front of the stroke. We're changing the gearing, we're changing the rigging of the boat so that you have slightly lighter gearing. What this means you need to do is you really need to emphasise and make use of what you have. We can see here is that you're catching quite nicely at the front. This is the beginning of the training. Now we're going to look at the end of the training. And we're going to see, if I go here, once all the blades are locked on, you're actually all losing about 1/3 of your stroke. You see, everyone's only locked on once you're already got that nice first bit of drive. So as a boat, what we really need to emphasise is locking on at the front and using that first piece of the stroke. We'll come back to that again in the next couple of weeks. But it's so essential when we look at now racing, looking at being effective with our stroke and getting good stroke length.
Oké, Niki, deze is voor jou. Ja, nou, dit is dus het bladwerk wat je eigenlijk wilt zien. Je ziet hier dat alle palen op dezelfde hoogte zijn. Dat ze samen klippen, samen naar de impact toe bewegen. En je ziet echt één beweging die dus scherp is. En als je nu naar onze video kijkt. Oké, hier zie je dus dat de wegstrekte hoogtes niet helemaal hetzelfde zijn. Als je nu bijvoorbeeld naar het blad van nummer 4 kijkt, dat is veel dichter bij het water dan de andere. Verder zie je een paar mensen vlaggen en het gaat niet echt scherp naar het water toe. Verder, ja, de gelijkheid is er ook nog niet helemaal. Dus als je kijkt, de nummer 3 en 4 lopen een beetje uit de rest. Ja, het is natuurlijk waar je de focus op het timing zet, maar waar jij de timing aangeeft, daar moeten wel alle 8 bladen het water ingaan. Dus dat je daarop focust. En verder, als één iemand echt buiten de boot valt, als bijvoorbeeld nu nummer 4 met de wegstrekhoogte, dat je dat even pinpoint en aangeeft.
The next technical point we'll be focusing on is the first part of the drive. For now we're going to be looking at the drive. We're going to be looking at 3 main points, which are a quick pickup of the boat, a good pickup of pressure from the front. The second is hanging through the drive. And the third one is driving through the hips. So we can see now, for example, this lightweight Canadian 4, they have a really nice, strong pickup from the front. You can see they connect well. They hang through and they drive through the hips. As you can see, they push the first part of the stroke here. Another example we can see is Obi Timon, who's a very good lightweight single sculler at the moment. You see his three principles also pertain to him in that he's driving through the hips, hanging from the front, and catching well through the front of the suture, so having a good strong pickup. Again with Drew Jin, who's one of our classic examples, is he's going through and he pushes and he's through. He's hanging through that front part of the stroke, he's driving through the hips, and then he's letting it go through the back. So we're going to be focusing on that first part of the drive. It's a little bit more of an abstract idea to be getting, so we're going to be focusing a lot on how the boat feels, how it feels to row like this, and more intangible methods of looking at it. We're going to be doing a lot of exercises to be getting the feeling in the boat. But for now, these are the good visual markers and words to be thinking about when we look at what is a good, effective drive to be working on. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it was useful for you. If you have any questions, please ask us.
Yeah, we definitely enjoyed working on this.
It's Ewout with a D, not a T.
Bye.